All right, you don't have to pay too much attention, but you have to pay a little attention. Keep eating. Enjoy. I feel a little rude. The food looks good, so I won't hold your attention for too long, but I do want to hold your attention all the same. We've heard so far from a couple of young men who've done a lot of work in the organic industry, and there's an even younger man who is going to be given the Rising Star Award this evening. Just in the past 2 hours, I've been told a lot of stories about those in this room who 2 decades ago cast a vision for what organics could be. And what it is today is clearly a result of your work and your colleagues' work in manifesting that vision. And I believe Thomas Harding cast a challenge to the room tonight to take the other 95%. Now, the obvious reality, and Benny referenced it as well, is that there was not a farm on the planet Earth prior to World War I that wasn't organic. Organic wasn't a word. So you actually, in the arc of time, represent 99.9% of the historical farming on the planet Earth. Really. And so when you feel that you are, that there's this underdog or minority mentality that pervades over the organic industry, remind yourself that you are actually the torchbearer for the historical legacy of food production on the planet Earth, and you are truly missionaries to recover from a gross error that was made after World War I to repurpose war chemicals. And again, the podium, I get worked up, and I don't want to. That's, I can start to get a little hot when you start talking like that. But I'll stop. I want to bring up Dan Magnus. He's going to show you tonight's leadership award, or offer you tonight's leadership award for tonight's Rising Star. Dan.
Just to clarify, I am not the younger guy that Dylan was referencing before. That's Michael. He's coming up next. It's a very distinguished company here. I'm very impressed with everybody we've seen so far, and I'm kind of in awe that I'm standing up here speaking on the same podium that all these people have. Very impressive accomplishments over a long period of time, and I'm here to introduce a gentleman who is at the beginning of his journey in the organic world, but yet has achieved a tremendous amount in a very short period of time. Very little worth doing in this world is accomplished without passion. And when it comes to the very worthy goal of bringing 100% organic, humanely raised, healthy meats to the masses and shifting the paradigm of America's most consumed food product, Michael Berger is indeed a very passionate guy. Coincidentally, 10 years ago, this coming Saturday, Hans Hess, who's right down there, and his wife April opened the first Elevation Burger in Falls Church, Virginia. Hans had the inspiration to question why his favorite food, the simple yet noble hamburger, was literally becoming dangerous to consume as a result of an industrial farming of American livestock. He then set out to change that reality and then to expand it and bring it to the four corners of the globe. But Hans did not do this alone. When he set out to staff his infant mission-based business, he immediately thought of a smart, driven business associate with whom he had worked, who personified tenacity and bulldog-like tendencies with a never-say-no drive. This is Michael Berger. By bringing Michael in as an early partner and charging him with the task of developing a supply chain to make his vision a reality, and more critically, a scalable reality, Hans Hess perhaps did the most important thing he could do to ensure that his dream would be realized. Today, 10 years later, Elevation Burger boasts more than 30 restaurant locations in the United States and more than 20 internationally on 3 continents. Along the way to this growth, Elevation Burger has become the largest restaurant retailer of organic beef in the United States. Earlier this year, with the national rollout of our organic chicken program, Elevation Burger became the nation's largest restaurant retailer of organic chicken. And the development of the Elevation Burger Organic Bacon program has made us, anybody want to guess? The largest restaurant retailer of organic bacon. Let's hear it for the pigs, come on. While Elevation Burger is most certainly the collaboration of many talented and hardworking people, none of it would have been possible without Michael. At the core of these achievements, and indeed of our very existence as a business, is our supply chain, the lifeline of our product that Michael has created. In between Hans's dream and today's reality, Michael has worked tirelessly with unwavering passion and a commitment to making this happen, and he has done so without compromising the founding ideals of the company. When farmers, suppliers, and distributors have said impossible, Michael has found the way to make it happen. In fact, to ensure a secure source for our organic chicken program, Michael worked with an existing poultry processor and took them through the full task of becoming a fully certified organic processing facility. As many of you in this room know, what Michael has achieved for Elevation Burger is truly an accomplishment for the ages. Miraculously, though, somehow through all of this incredible journey, Michael managed to find some time to woo and marry his wonderful and supportive wife, Fatima. And together, they have 2 beautiful children that are a true joy and inspiration for Michael. For more than 5 years now, I've had the pleasure of working with Michael. Although I should have identified myself, I am actually a franchisee of Elevation Burger, so I've worked closely with Michael for 5 years. In our first meeting, his passion and commitment to our shared organic ideals were so evident. He was a major reason why I chose to join the Elevation Nation. Along the way, my deep respect and admiration for Michael and genuine fondness for him has blossomed into a wonderful friendship that I value very much. So, without further ado, please join me in giving a big round of applause for the accomplishments and the man, your rising star for 2015, Michael Berger.
Perhaps the shortest person on the stage so far. Congratulations to the other 2 award winners, Thomas, Benny. You've clearly pioneered an industry that I'm just coming into, and thank you for that. Thank you, Daniel, for that very kind and personal introduction. Daniel Magnus is a business partner and a good friend, an unwavering partner in Elevation's vision to change the fast food world through organic meat. This ride has had its share of ups and downs, as all startup businesses do. Daniel and I have rode the good and bad together, confiding in each other along the way. Thank you to each one of our franchisees and their staff. I wouldn't have the honor and opportunity to be standing here if it were not for the hard work and dedication of our partners working day in and day out to represent our brand. They and their staff are the true stewards of the brand, and without them, this award would not be possible, and Elevation Burger is not possible. Thank you to Simone Tully and her business partner, Matt. Simone is here tonight. Simone and Matt are organic beef farmers. and entrepreneurs who took a risk in starting a business that counted on Elevation Burger. I'm glad we didn't let them down, and we've been able to grow our businesses in tandem, resulting in a partnership that is one of Elevation Burger's foundational strengths. Thank you, Hans, for having and implementing the unique vision for Elevation Burger, and thank you for making me one of the first people you called. To take that restaurant from one to many and an international presence. It's been a fun ride, and congratulations on the 10 years today for Falls Church. It is actually today's 10-year anniversary of the first restaurant's opening. Thank you, Oliver Mead. He's my right-hand guy in supply chain. And thank you to my wife, Fatima. She's been supportive and a steadying force in my life and provided so much trusting advice along the way. And certainly as a bonus, she knows way more about the meat trade than I think she ever wanted to know. I am so honored to be here, and I'm really beside myself to receive this recognition. Thank you to the Organic Trade Association Board for recognizing Elevation Burger's accomplishments. Honestly, I feel like a guy who just sells hamburgers. If you told me 10 years ago, before we started Elevation Burger's franchise company, that I'd be here, I'd scratch my head. I actually started out, you may not even know this, Daniel, as being recruited by Hans to be our real estate director. I'd been working for 5 years on large-scale college and university facility feasibility studies, business planning, and project management. It's a far cry from food service. 10 years later, I'm a very proud advocate of organic. How did I end up here stumping for organic meat, making an impact in the organic industry? Quick profile on Elevation Burger for those that you may not know us or have visited our restaurants yet. I hope all of you can get a chance to go visit. This is our home base, so there's a lot around here. We're a chain of fast casual burger restaurants with locations in the United States, 5 Middle East countries. Our first international franchise partner is here today, Ali Ashkanani from Kuwait. Ali took a risk on us when we had exactly 3 restaurants, and he said, I'm gonna open one in Kuwait. And we said, really? And he said, yes. And we said, well, then you're gonna need to come to 3 months of training. We'll have around 60 restaurants, hopefully over, by the end of the year. As real estate goes, sometimes timelines slip. We serve only organic meats and are the largest, as Daniel covered, restaurant purveyor of organic beef, chicken, and pork. We will source close to 5 million pounds of organic meat in the coming 12 months, roughly 4 million of which is organic grass-fed beef. This also makes us one of the largest end users of organic beef in the United States. As a startup business, partners need to divide and conquer the various areas of business. And very early on, I was really intrigued and invested in managing and growing our supply chain. So my partners let me run with it. In a crowded and competitive field, the fast casual better burger market, the vision of the company was to stay true to being a better burger. It was a passion that Hans founded the brand on. At the time, I didn't realize just how unique and difficult it was going to be to source our product. We were only buying around 30,000 pounds of meat at that time for a single restaurant. I did quickly learn, though, how tight and aggressive the market was and how aggressive I was going to have to be in growing our supply chain to keep up with the growth of our franchise. So tonight, I kind of want to jump across a line in the sand here with everybody. On this line of the sand today, we have organic meat proteins making up 0.4% of the total meat spend in the United States. Starting tomorrow, I would like to challenge us to significant growth in the organic livestock and meat industry in the United States. We all know the industry has come so far over the last 10 years. We will probably reach, maybe even exceed 5% of the total food spend this year, 2015. The next stop is 10%, which will be an enormous milestone. And I'm 100% confident that we will all get there. But the question is, how fast are we going to get there? To get to 10%, we need to overcome some major constraints in supply and focus on some major areas that have epic room to growth, namely organic proteins. For us to continue to gain the support of millions of Americans each year, and it is millions of Americans when you look at our percentage growth year over year, we're gonna need to figure out a way to hit the center of their plate and hit it hard. The industry has done a tremendous job in many areas: dairy, produce, packaged goods, but we can't ignore the lagging performance of organic proteins. The most recent figures I've seen put organic proteins at less than 0.5% of the total food spend, as compared to produce, which now exceeds 10%, and dairy, which is rapidly approaching 10%. Solving for more widespread availability and consumer adoption of organic meat is super complicated. It might be one of the more complicated conversations in organic. Its constraints are multiple and they are varied. Land, both availability and cost; climate, shelter versus pasture; farming practices and facilities that are set up to support conventional farming; corn, soy feeding, antibiotics, hormones. In fact, the USDA's own beef grading system that's based on marbleization. I've heard many, many times, and it frustrates me so much, fat equals flavor. No, the meat and what they eat equals flavor. But perhaps one of the biggest challenges to the landscape is the scale of the conventional industry and the special interest lobby behind it. Don't get me started on the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. I believe the share is from Cargill. But by committing to the growth of organic protein, not only can we further organic's overall market share, we can also begin addressing many of the conventional agriculture issues that plague our society. And I can say plague in this company. Corn and soy overproduction and the industry that supports it and proliferates it. Environmental hazards, waste runoff, concrete pads, mass corn and soy fields that have replaced grass fields that are sequestering less carbon dioxide. Overuse of antibiotics and resistant strains of bacteria that continue to become more prolific. Huge special interest groups that make their business destroying our food system and small family farms. Where do we start? How do we get there? Well, we start small, because small users can have a big impact in this fractional market and shape the landscape. Elevation Burger's growth is case in point. There are other small users out there who are looking to get big, who want to focus on organic meat, but they've often settled for something else because they can't find a consistent supply of organic protein. But even further to just engaging small users, we need to be advisors and mentors to them, nurturing programmatic approaches to growing their supply chain. We need to move away from how much of the market trades now, selling on spec to the highest bidder, which suppliers can do because product is very scarce. But this practice really only serves to reinforce the sporadic availability of organic protein. We need to engage restaurants because restaurants push grocery purchasing trends. A lot of people from outside of the industry tell me, you know why organic dairy and why organic produce can succeed and where meat falls short? And of course I say, no, please tell me. Those products are about the same price as conventional. Well, sure they are, but that was not the case 10 years ago. We must start somewhere. And yes, to start, it probably will be more expensive. And maybe meat proteins are never able to reach parity with the conventional system like we've seen in some other products like baby carrots and leafy greens. But as the industry grows, the economies of scale improve, and price stability can emerge. Let's commit to organic proteins. Let's grow organic proteins. Let's take this segment from 0.5% to 1%, and then from 1% to 2%. It is an achievable goal. So let's all commit to that. That's a fight worth fighting. Thank you again for this honor, this recognition. I truly am grateful to be part of such a dynamic industry who have peers that every day approach this with passion and vision and values. Thank you.